definitely hit it on the head in regards to the local representation and the fact that there weren't that many vendors that were of the locality. But I think the primary issue that most folks across the internet focused on, besides, yes, first of all, Lauryn Hill's late no matter where she's at. Erica
She was on
Badu,
time, I heard.
all those folks are
I heard she was on time this time.
late. She was
actually, I heard she was on time, and it was like they were late. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even her fault this time.
Oh my God,
it wasn't her fault. It was the event organizer's fault.
Think about that for a second.
Shocking. That is shocking because I've been to one of her concerts and I was pissed. And they told me she was there so she was only an hour late. The fact that she was only an hour late caused me some consternation. And they was like, no, that's good. She's only an hour late. So to hear that it was the organizers, that's even worse. And so it's like, hey, if you're supposed to be the brand and this is the brand, aka Essence Festival, then stand on the brand and stop doing what we call stereotypically in a former pot, Black people shit when it comes to business running. But in this case, because it wasn't a Black people shit as an FBA, if you want to go that way. But which brings me to my next point is that a lot of people felt like this was an identity crisis and a cultural shift. They felt that the rebranding of the festival as a festival of culture under this new ownership, and just as a FYI, I think she's Nigerian. And so
I thought she was Kenyan.
She might have been. Maybe she could have been Liberian.
Let's get her name. Can we get her name just to be fair to the sister?
Yeah, you're right. We should do that. Let me see.
I think Delvin will look it up as our research analyst.
Right?
Yeah. I want to say she's Liberian.
Yeah, I was going to say she might have been.
Oh, we got Nigeria. We're doing great, guys. Why don't we stop? Why don't we stop throwing shit out there?
Hey, this is good fodder here. Anyway.
Lord have mercy.
But anyways, the point, you were right while he looks up the name, that she was trying to bring a broader global Black identity into this festival. And that included highlighting some of the other African, particularly West African elements. And some folks felt that it was at the expense of the Black American culture because that's where the roots are. And so folks was like that she failed to pay homage to the roots itself. And that caused some upset. Folks were upset about that. And so another thing that they really pinged on was the fact that attendance was definitely lower and engagement was lower. They're like the energy was not the same as it usually is. They felt that the energy may have been low simply because of the cultural shift. So there's been some calls to reclaim it. They're like, hey, we need to boycott and reclaim Essence Festival. But I don't know exactly what that would actually accomplish and what that would do and why it would be a full out boycott of Essence Festival. As a matter of fact, I think that would do more harm than good because you're harming the very people who you're claiming we're supposed to be paying homage to, which is Black Americans. And if we're looking at the larger picture of being global, because we can't continue to exist in this insular vacuum, then what are we doing? Like, where are we going with this? What's the direction for that? And so I think that's another thing. The operational disappointments that you talked about, Nick, that's crazy though. That it was the organization who was behind schedule and whatnot. I think that's also a big part of it was the persistent scheduling delays, the production issues, and then compounded with the cultural misalignment. I think that all highlighted everything that everybody had a problem with in the first place. But let's not pretend that this festival has been going down for some time. Let's not pretend that it wasn't slightly on the decline for other reasons that may be outside of the fact that this now has new ownership, I would just say this. I'll just land here. I think that what was intended to be a more inclusive global celebration of Black culture and Black excellence and so forth lost the essence simply because it abandoned some of the roots in the Black American female empowerment and the local community heritage being New Orleans and whatnot. And so that kind of resulted in disillusionment. It resulted in declining turnout and a call to shift back to the roots and its original core. But I don't know. Yeah. I think we're missing something when we decide if we can't evolve and be more inclusive about certain things. It's not like we're saying, hey, let's open it up to everybody in regards to the culture itself. But I think we're...
My name's Baraku Tubman Zawalo.
Who is that? I thought it was Caroline Wagner. We're talking about the person who was over the... We are horrible.
Baraku Tubman Zawalo.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
So I'm reading it right here. Caroline A. Wagner is the president and chief executive officer of Essence Ventures, a parent company of Essence Magazine and organization. I believe she was the one that is the one that's being called out in terms of the direction they're going in. So we'll come back to that. If we messed it up,
it's the owner. I think that she sold it to this person who Devin was speaking of.
Oh, okay.
It's all right. The chief global strategist for Essence Ventures, chief community officer at Essence Ventures. So that maybe you're right. Maybe the lady I'm pulling.
Essence Ventures, 2 hours ago, Essence Ventures CEO Caroline Wagner responds amid online scrutiny. It was in the link. The only thing I really needed was like where she was from. But okay, so we really, so we're the problem. We're part of the problem. Well, they are part of the problem. I'm not gonna claim that, right? Let's be clear, because y'all was mentioning a bunch of different shit. Y'all could just let me down the hill of King. No, it's Liberia, it's Nigeria. I'm like, whoa. We started throwing out a bunch of names out there, and that's part of the problem. Right? If her job was to grow the shit, okay, the only way to grow is internationally. So I'm gonna shoot her some fucking bell real quick, okay? Because the fact of the matter is that like people love fucking Afro beats. Like it's one of the most like dominating culture music. So like what we gonna accept or not accept is part of the fucking culture. You watch BT Awards, are them niggas not there? Is Tyler not still making or Water, whatever fucking song she had? So I get it. Her misstep was that she did not invest equally, or at least enough, I think, locally. And by locally, I mean both New Orleans and in terms of the culture, right? The culture here. And how you find culture is through podcasts, for example. There are certain podcasters who are tapped into culture that help bring culture. Streamers are a big thing now. Even the NBA is getting into bed with some of the younger streamers. In fact, Kai Cenat, one of the youngest guys out there in the streaming world, is killing it. He's on Time Magazine because a lot of things are moving and skewing in certain different directions. So if you don't make the investments in those areas, you didn't see anybody for real, right? There wasn't those traditional tie-ins. And also, let's be honest, after Trump got into office, maybe there was less corporate money to go around too at the same time. So I get that we want to point at the sister. I get that, but her mandate was growth. So I understand that. But I think where she probably fell short was whether or not they were able to raise the money and the funds and have those necessary to be able to invest in those multiple areas. And sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs and business people make the mistake of trying to hit everybody, right? So if you had to make the tough call in terms of, hey man, we don't got the funds this year. We already know that we kind of have to limit how front-facing Target is given where it lands with our community, then maybe you kind of have to decide to maybe wait another year before you expand in the way that you might have intended to before. Right? But that's not what happened. And so hopefully they'll learn from this and be able to grow from this. And we wish them well. You dig what I'm saying? But it was not a good look. And not even so much just simply because of just the missteps or what we're talking, or what people's I guess experience was, but rather the fact that this is what we're talking about afterwards, right? That's what I think ends up showing you how bad of a misstep this was this entire time.